You're listening to The Coffee Hour. I'm Andy Bates.
I'm Sarah Golseth.
Thanks to Concordia University, Wisconsin for your support of The Coffee Hour. Find out more about Concordia University, Wisconsin at cuw.edu.
Live uncommon.
Today we have the opportunity to speak with actor Kevin Sorbo. He's most widely known for his role as Hercules in the 1990s TV series Hercules, The Legendary Journeys. Kevin, thanks so much for being our guest on The Coffee Hour today.
I'm honored to be here, but you got to throw in Andromeda. I'm sorry, I'm the first captain after Captain Kirk. I did 5 years on that show.
Thank you.
I don't want to belittle 5 years of 80-hour work weeks. So.
Fair enough.
And you have two new films coming out this fall that we want to share the story of both of those films, and two kind of different. One's a drama, one's a documentary, and want to share the story of both of these films. Let's start with the documentary, Against the Tide. Why did you want to be a part of this film, Against the Tide?
Well, I'm a big fan of John Lennox, and I've never got to meet the man before, but I certainly know of him. He's a retired math professor out of Oxford University, but he's also an apologist. I've seen, his debates against well-known atheists like, Hitchens and Dawkins, and always been fascinated by the work that he does in the name of God. And they contacted me and said, we'd love you to be I think a lot of it comes off, like my movies, God's Not Dead and What If and Let There Be Light and Soul Surfer, et cetera, et cetera. I think, we do mention John Lennox in God's Not Dead. So I think that had a big part to do with this as well. And I got to play the atheist college professor, which was a lot of fun for me. When I say atheist college professor, I apologize for that. It's being redundant. All I really have to say is college professor, then it's covered. But anyway, they approached me with this, and I said, I'm on board. And we shot 3 weeks in Oxford, in John's hometown there, and then 2 weeks in Israel, which was my first trip to Israel. And the experience was just absolutely amazing. And John is just not only a very intelligent man, but he's just so well versed in his, apologetics and his debates to prove that God and Jesus do exist, and it was just wonderful. It was just an amazing chapter from my life, and I'm glad to be proud of it.
Give us a little background of what this documentary is about.
Well, it deals with, when they all say science proves God doesn't exist, it really doesn't. I mean, they can people can say whatever they want with it. And just John goes into detail with the Bible. I was, just there to ask the questions, and he just took it from there. They wrote out a script for me to ask, and then I got to, ad lib some things in there as well. But really, this was to have John just take us along this journey. And it was really incredible. And I got to say, I wasn't expecting this when I went to Israel, but and I should have thought about it. But everybody there is pretty much on a pilgrimage from all around the world, and they all want to follow in the steps of Jesus and have their own sort of time in discovering where they are and what they think why they were here on Earth and why everything happened the way it happened. But because of these movies I've been in, I was like a little Beatle over there. I was like a little rock star. I had people from China to Poland to Russia to New Zealand coming up to me to asking for my autograph. And I'm like going, wait a minute, this is the guy. This is the real guy right here. I'm just an actor, But when somebody finally came up and said to John how big a fan he was, John looks at me and goes, see, Kevin, I'm famous too. So but he's such a kind soul, and there's not really an angry bone in his body. He just says, in these interviews, you'll see him in these debates he has. He just destroys these people with kindness and love and facts and truth, and delivers it all in his little Winnie the Pooh kind of voice. And it's just kind of such a cool way to watch in a world filled with so much hate and anger and divisiveness right now, and it just seems to be getting worse and worse. To see somebody that just has the love of God in his life, and he just walks the walk. And it was a wonderful experience.
He always seems to be smiling, even when he's explaining some of the most complex things that I'm trying to wrap my mind around. He always seems to be smiling while he's saying that.
He does. He just, we just talked the other day. We keep in touch, become friends. I want to get back over there again and hang out with him and his wife, Sally, and bring my wife next time. Because I told her, Oxford, England it's just it's a Kodak moment every corner. It's just not. A lot of people don't realize there's so many universities there, not just Oxford, but Oxford was the university back in the 1400s that translated the first Bible into English. So there's obviously a lot of history there as well.
Mm-hmm.
How was this film Against the Tide similar to some of your other projects?
Well, I've done a couple of other documentaries actually that I think a lot of Christians, myself included, were afraid to step out of just saying, well, it's my faith. When John gives you just bullet point after bullet point and Against the Tide of how you can debate maybe in a more intelligent way and in a less nervous way about your faith and where it is. I mean, it's just a class act and how he puts these things across. He's got amazing books. You can go online for John Lennox, but I do want to get out once again the title Against the Tide, but againstthetide.movie. It's not .com or .net. It's againstthetide.movie to get information of when this will be shown across the country. We're doing a Fathom event on November 19th, and I believe they got a second date on the 26th. I don't know for sure, but that website will definitely give you the second date. But I know the first date's November 19th.
So how can Christians be confident in sharing their faith?
Well, I think, like I just said, watch the documentary. I think right then and there, it's a great educational tool for people to take notes, bring their family around. And I got atheist friends too, and agnostic friends, and they'll watch it. And they'll say, yeah, I found some things kind of interesting because they've watched my movies before, and they say, man, I may not believe the way you believe, but I thought the movie had some good points and it was interesting. And one guy told me, he said, my last movie, Let There Be Light, that I directed, that was in theaters here. He said, I hate to cry, and your stupid movie made me cry. So I said, well, thank God there's a soul inside that hateful body of yours. So it was pretty funny. But, I've just been blessed to do one project after the other with this. There was another documentary I did about 3 years ago called Patterns of Evidence, Exodus, that I was a narrator on it. And it's a fellow Minnesota guy where I'm from, Tim Mahoney, that did it. And he spent 10 years in Egypt through archaeological digs to prove that the Exodus happened. And it's quite fascinating because whenever you prove anything in the Bible, because non-believers just believe it's a book of myths, every time you prove things in the Bible, it just, they get all angry about it. I've been lucky to do a lot of these things. And I've got a couple more down the road I'm going to be doing as well that are booked for next year. I kind of like this documentary road. It's been fascinating for me.
In your 5 weeks with Dr. Lennox, what was the most profound thing that you learned in making this documentary?
Well, I think the most interesting thing was for me when we visited the tomb of Lazarus, and not many people get to go into it and go into that area because it's a Muslim-controlled area. And but we were able to get there. I was able to go down into the tomb myself. John was not feeling well that day, so we can take the treacherous steps leading down into it. It was quite a steep steps all the way down through the hole there. But I found it pretty fascinating for me just to be part of some of these things. And I did a lot of things that other tourists don't get to do as well. I got to stand on the balcony, which is now they've built a church around what used to be a castle of sorts, where Pilate was. And I got to stand on the balcony where he sat out there and said, which of these two men do you want me to set free and which do you want me to crucify? And for me to stand on that really, hallowed ground was amazing because they told me, he said, very few people are able to stamp up there and be up in that area because it's a small little elevator that leads up to it that's completely sealed off. But to do some of the things I did was pretty cool. And we went back again with my family about 6 months after that and took a group of 50 people. And I saw other things that I wasn't able to do, but I think the highlight of that for me was to go into the Jordan River and baptize my family. That was quite an honor as well.
I know everyone that talks about going to the Holy Land, there's always all of these wonderful experiences and eye-opening things, and the Bible just comes alive before you, which is so awesome. Before we run out of time, let's move on to the other film that we're talking about today, Faith Under Fire. Tell us about this film.
The title sort of says it all right there, and sort of a ironical name. Faith Under Fire deals with the life of a fireman played not by me, but I'm the doctor in the movie. But it deals with this guy's life where he's lost his wife now to cancer, and now his young child, his daughter's developed cancer as well. So here's a guy that fights fires, but now he's hit a wall of fire with these tragedies in his life. And I'll say, you can say you have faith in your life, but until something, until you hit that roadblock in your life, which we all hit that roadblock in our life, if not more than one, how do you react to that? I mean, you can say you have faith, but maybe you never really needed faith until you hit that wall of fire. So Dean Cain's in the movie as well. He plays the pastor in it. I'm the doctor in it, trying to save this young girl's life. And we're sort of these cameo catalyst for the movie, but it really deals with the life of the father that's had so many things that have lost in his life. And I know that's coming out, and I hope you guys have the date, because I don't, but I believe it is in November or December, late November maybe.
Right, November 27th through December 1st, I think, is opening.
Yes, I think they have a 5-day window they're showing it in theaters. So many theaters, because of COVID, are still shut down, and I've got 3 other movies done in the can that would have been out this summer as well, and now they've been put on hold as well.
With so many people thinking that suffering is not a part of the Christian life, this film seems to shed a different light on the role of suffering in our lives. What do you want? What do you hope this film shares with us about suffering in our lives?
Well, you always hear people say, well, if there really is a God, why is there so much suffering? Well, God never promised a perfect life. The free will is there. There are a lot of choices we make in our life that are good, and a lot of choices we make that are bad. I mean, nobody's perfect. I think, I do a lot of speaking events in churches, whether it's on pro-life or whether it's on Christian education or whether it's on medical, based off my book, True Strength, which deals with my own close brush with death back in my Hercules years. I tell people, it really comes down to, you can blame God, you can blame family, friends, or the world for your problems, but the reality is you got to look in the mirror, because that's where it starts. And you got to say, okay, this has happened in my life. What am I going to do about it? And you can pick a positive road, you can pick a negative road, but the negative road is always going to lead you down to more negativity, more anger, and more hatred in your life. And that's just a black hole that is so hard to crawl out of if you don't have any kind of faith or belief in anything. So, for me, I tell people, God never promised things were going to be easy. And it's all about living on this plane in our life, and this time in our life, to know that there are better, bigger things waiting for us after we leave this planet. And I believe that. I've had too many things happen in my whole life that just say, we're not alone, and we're not alone in a good way. And we just have to open up our eyes and open up that door and not be afraid to step through it.
Faith Under Fire, opening up in theaters across the country November 27th through December 1st. And Against the Tide, the documentary, a Fathom event taking place November 19th, and a second event as well shortly after that in November as well, the documentary with Kevin and Dr. John Lennox. Kevin, thanks so much for being our guest on the Coffee Hour today, and congratulations on both of these films.
My pleasure, and please go to kevinsorbo.net. All kinds of information there and things coming up.
You're listening to the Coffee Hour. I'm Andy Bates.
I'm Sarah Gulseth.